So, blah, blah, blah. Now as it's shown in, blah, blah, blah. This is blah, blah, blah. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, which is bake. So I'm going to take a spin on the classic lemon cake and make a rosemary lemon bundt cake with goat cheese frosting. Baking cakes for me are pretty intimidating. When you're making fancy layered cakes, you have to level it, then you have to trim it, then you have to worry about this frosting spilling out of the sides. Now this cake is a lot less intimidating than other cakes as it's a bundt cake. So you put in all the batter into your mold and then you just put it onto your platter, put in your frosting, and that's it. No leveling, no cutting, no trimming. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the batter. In a medium-sized bowl, you're going to combine your flour with some baking soda, baking powder, and some salt. And now you're also going to add some lemon zest and some freshly cut up rosemary. Now it may sound a little bit weird to put rosemary in a dessert or any herb in general, but herbs and fruit go together so well. If you're a little bit concerned about the taste of it, just put in a little less rosemary. So you're going to mix that all up and you're going to set it aside. Now in a bigger bowl, you're going to cream together your butter and your sugar. So either with a stand mixer or a hand mixer like what I'm using in the video, you're going to cream it together for around 2 to 3 minutes until it's super light and fluffy. Now you're going to add in 1 egg at a time, beating after each addition. So I forgot to show it in the video, but I added some vanilla at this point, but you don't want to add too much because it's not a vanilla cake. I just added around half a teaspoon. So now you're going to add in your flour mixture and your milk. So what you're going to do is you're going to add in 1/3 of the flour mixture, beat it, half of your milk, beat, then 1/2 of the remaining flour, beat it, milk, and then flour. So you want to do it in alternating steps because you want to make sure that your batter is fully incorporated and nothing sloshes around. The video doesn't show it that well, but the notes in my recipe that will be found on my blog give you a lot of good tips on how to make the cake. So after beating that all together, you're going to finally add in your lemon juice. Now you're just going to set the batter to the side. So for the bundt pan, take some butter, and I probably ended up using 1/4 of a cup. And what I find best is that you just use your hands. You can use a pastry brush if you want, but if your bundt pan has a lot of detailing and a lot of nooks and crannies, it's really easier to get in there with your hands. And you want to make sure the whole entire pan is covered. After that, you're going to sprinkle in some flour, and I like to put in a lot extra than what I would need, and you're just going to shake it around and dump out the excess. After your bundt pan is filled, you're going to just tap it on the table a few times just to release any air bubbles and make sure everything lies flat. Then you can take a spoon and smooth out the top and then give it a few more taps before you put it in the oven. So while that's baking, we can get started on the frosting. So for the frosting, you're going to first beat together your butter, your cream cheese, and your goat cheese. So I know goat cheese sounds a little bit weird putting it into a dessert, and a lot of you may not like it or just don't know where to get it. You can easily substitute the goat cheese for cream cheese. But the goat cheese gives it a really nice tang, and if you're missing that, you can just add in a little bit more lemon zest at the end. So after we cream that for around 3 to 4 minutes on medium speed, we're going to add in the confectioner sugar. Now I completely forgot to do this step until I was right about to frost the cake, but you're going to add in 2 tablespoons of milk in here. After giving it a taste, my sister recommended adding in some lemon zest, so I added in around a teaspoon of lemon zest. Now as it's shown in the video, the frosting is quite thick, and this is what it should look like without the milk. But once you add the milk, the consistency of the frosting should be like yogurt. After giving it a good mix, you're just going to set it aside in the fridge. Now before our cake comes out of the oven, we're going to make our rosemary syrup that's going to make the cake super moist and give it that extra punch of rosemary. So to make that, we're just gonna combine equal parts of water and sugar and add in some rosemary sprigs. You're gonna heat this until it boils and immediately take it off the heat. Then I'm just gonna store it in a mason jar and set it aside. So as soon as your cake is done, you're gonna set the pan on a wired rack. While it's cooling, you're gonna take your rosemary syrup and brush it all over the top. After around 10 minutes, you're gonna flip the cake onto the cooling rack and let it cool for 20 minutes. So while you're doing this, you're gonna also brush the outside with the rosemary syrup as well. Once the cake is done cooling, you can start assembling. So you're gonna first put your cake onto the platter and you're just gonna pour over all that frosting. Then I just decorated it with some candied lemons, some brittle, and some rosemary sprigs. If you guys like this recipe and want the exact measurements, the link can be found down below. Make sure to tag me on my social media if you recreate this recipe. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!